Ramadan is a special time for Muslims around the world. It is a month of fasting, prayer, and reflection. Muslims abstain from food and drink from dawn until dusk. This period of fasting is a time for spiritual growth and increased devotion to God. It is a time to purify the heart and seek closeness to the divine. Ramadan is a time for Muslims to reflect on their blessings. They are reminded to be grateful for what they have. It is also a time to help those in need. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was a shining example of how to live a life of service. He was known for his generosity, especially during Ramadan. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, began his day with Suhur, the pre-dawn meal. This meal is important because it provides energy for the day of fasting. The Prophet emphasized the blessings of Suhur. He taught that it was a blessed meal that should not be missed. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would consume a light meal for Suhur. He would often eat dates and drink water. Sometimes he would have a small meal with his family. He reminded his followers that even a sip of water was a blessing during Suhur. The Prophet would pray after finishing Suhur. He would then lead the Fajr prayer in congregation. The Prophet's Suhur routine teaches us the importance of starting the day with the blessings of Allah. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, placed great importance on prayer. He would lead the Fajr prayer in congregation at the mosque. After Fajr he would spend time in remembrance of God. He would recite Quran and engage in dhikr. The Prophet, peace be upon him, encouraged his followers to pray in congregation. He taught that the prayer in congregation is more rewarding than praying alone. The Prophet would often engage in lengthy recitations during Fajr prayer. After Fajr, the Prophet, peace be upon him, would remain in the mosque until sunrise. He would use this time for personal reflection and supplication. He would also greet members of the community. Despite fasting, the Prophet, peace be upon him, would go about his daily activities. He would attend to his family and community. He would teach and guide people. The Prophet, peace be upon him, never let fasting affect his responsibilities. Even while fasting, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was known for his cheerful disposition. He would smile and joke with his companions. He would participate in light-hearted conversations. The Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized the importance of good character, especially during Ramadan. He taught that fasting is not just about abstaining from food and drink. It is also about abstaining from bad speech and actions. As the sun began to set, the Prophet, peace be upon him, would break his fast. He would often break his fast with dates and water. He would then pray Maghrib, the sunset prayer. After Maghrib, he would have his Iftar meal. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would hasten to break his fast. He encouraged his followers to do the same. However, he also emphasized the importance of breaking the fast in a mindful way. Following Iftar, the Prophet, peace be upon him, would pray Isha, the night prayer. He would then lead the Taraweeh prayers. These prayers are specific to Ramadan. They are offered after the Isha prayer. Taraweeh prayers are a special part of Ramadan. They are long prayers that are offered in congregation. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would lead his companions in Taraweeh. He would recite the Quran in a slow, melodious tone. The Prophet, peace be upon him, encouraged Muslims to pray Taraweeh during Ramadan. However, he did not make it obligatory. He understood that people have different capacities. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would spend a significant portion of the night in prayer. He would often pray Tahajjud, the late-night prayer. He considered it a time of peace and tranquility. He would use this time to seek forgiveness and guidance. The last 10 nights of Ramadan are particularly special. It is during these nights that Laylatul Qadr, the night of power, is sought. This night is considered more blessed than 1,000 months. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would increase his worship during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. The Prophet, peace be upon him, would seclude himself in the mosque during the last 10 nights of Ramadan. This practice is known as itikaf. He would devote himself to prayer, reflection, and Quran recitation. The Prophet, peace be upon him, encouraged his followers to seek Laylatul Qadr. He advised them to spend these nights in prayer and supplication. Ramadan is a time for giving. The Prophet, peace be upon him, was known for his generosity. His generosity would increase during Ramadan. He would give freely to the poor and needy. The Prophet, peace be upon him, taught that giving charity is a way to purify one's wealth. He also taught that it is a way to earn God's blessings. He would inspire others to give generously, especially during this blessed month. The prophets, peace be upon him, generosity was not limited to material possessions. He was also generous with his time and knowledge. He would teach and guide people. He would patiently answer their questions. The Prophet Muhammad's, peace be upon him, life during Ramadan is a model for Muslims to emulate. His dedication to prayer, his generosity, and his commitment to spiritual growth inspire Muslims to this day. His example teaches us that Ramadan is a time to strengthen our connection with God and with our fellow human beings. The Prophet, peace be upon him, emphasized the importance of sincerity in all acts of worship. He taught that Ramadan is not just about outward rituals, it is about inner transformation. The Prophet's, peace be upon him, legacy continues to guide Muslims worldwide. His teachings on Ramadan serve as a beacon of light. They remind us of the true spirit of this blessed month.